So today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going on a journey through a pig's life, from its very first breath all the way to its final moments. And our guide for this trip, it's an official government document, the 2000 Philippine Code of Practice for the Welfare of Pigs. We're going to unpack exactly what the rules say about how these animals should be treated, every single step of the way.
But, before we dive into all the specific regulations, let's just pause and ask a really basic question. What actually makes for a good life for a pig? I mean, is it just having enough food and water, or is it something more? This is the very question the code itself sets out to answer.
Okay, let's get into the heart of it. This entire code, it's not just some random list of do's and don'ts. It's actually built on a core philosophy, a set of guiding principles that are known as the 5 freedoms.
These 5 points right here, they're the absolute foundation for every single rule we're about to look at. Think of them like a constitution for animal welfare. It's not just about food, but the right kind of food, and easy access to clean water. It's about having shelter and preventing sickness before it starts. It's about giving an animal the space to actually act like an animal. And crucially, it's about minimizing mental suffering. That's the freedom from fear and distress. Keep these 5 in mind, because you're going to see them over and over again.
So let's start right at the beginning of a pig's life. These first few hours and days are just so incredibly vulnerable, and the code has some really specific rules to protect them.
So, 32 degrees Celsius, what's that all about? Well, this is the minimum temperature required for a newborn piglet's little nest area. See, the code recognizes that newborns can't regulate their own body temperature and cold stress can be deadly. This rule is a perfect example of providing that freedom from physical discomfort.
Okay, so you've got the norm. Just as important is nutrition. The code actually mandates that every single piglet must get colostrum. Now, this isn't just any milk. This is the sow's very first milk, and it is packed with life-saving antibodies. It's basically the piglet's first immunization shot, and it's essential for survival, directly providing that freedom from disease.
All right, let's be real. A piglet's first few days often involve, well, some procedures. The code doesn't forbid them, but it puts a huge emphasis on how and, more importantly, when they get done, all to minimize pain and distress.
And this is where timing and expertise become absolutely critical. Take tail docking, for example. It's a common practice to stop pigs from biting each other's tails later on. The code is super precise. It has to be done within the first 3 days of life. If you wait any longer, past 7 days, it's considered a much more serious procedure and has to be done by a licensed vet.
And yeah, it's not just tails. The code lays out these strict timelines for everything, clipping those super sharp needle teeth within 2 days, giving iron supplements, which are essential for indoor pigs, within 3 days, castration, if it's going to be done, before 14 days. Even ear notching for ID has to be done before they're a week old. It's all about doing it when they're youngest and it has the least impact.
So, our little piglet is growing up. Its world is getting bigger. And you know what that means? The code starts looking at its home, making sure it has enough space to actually live and grow properly.
Just look at this table. It shows you exactly how much that need for space changes over time. When they're tiny, under 10 kilos, they just need a little sliver of space. But as they grow up towards 100 kilos, that space requirement jumps almost 8 times. This goes right back to that freedom to express normal behaviors, to lie down, stretch out, and just move around without being cramped.
And just to really hammer that point home, check out this number, 7.5 square meters. That's the minimum floor space for just one single adult boar in his own pen. That's a serious amount of space, recognizing what a big, mature animal really needs.
Okay, so we've covered growing pigs, but things get even more specific, and you could say more complex, when we start talking about the adult breeding pigs. Their lives are managed in very particular ways, and the code has a lot to say about it.
Now, this is probably one of the most talked about and detailed parts of the whole code. It's about the use of stalls and farrowing crates. The code itself acknowledges right there in the text that they place severe restrictions on movement, and because of that, their use is strictly limited by time. A sow can't be kept in one for more than 6 weeks straight or for more than 60% of her entire 150-day reproductive cycle.
All right, so from crates, let's talk about tethering. Tying up a pig. According to the code, this is only allowed in small-scale backyard farms, and even then, it's got to be done under very strict conditions.
And I mean, just look at how detailed this gets. The rope has to be at least 2.5 meters long. It's got to be secured from up high, not from the side. And it has to be a specific kind of harness with loops around the neck and chest. The code is also crystal clear on what's not allowed. Painful methods like putting rings through their snout or tying ropes on their ankles are absolutely forbidden.
And so, the code follows the pig all the way to its final journey, laying out rules for both how it's transported and ultimately how it's slaughtered.
You know, transport can be incredibly stressful for an animal, so these rules are aimed right at that fifth freedom, freedom from fear and discomfort. For example, electric prodders are a no-go. The pigs have to be protected from the sun and rain, and get this, transport is flat out forbidden when it's 28 degrees Celsius or hotter. In cities, there's even a travel ban during the hottest part of the day between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
And then we come to the final moment. The code here is, well, it's very direct, almost clinical. This diagram shows the exact spot on a pig's head for percussive stunning. The whole point, as the code states, is to cause immediate insensibility, which should persist until the animals are slaughtered. The focus is entirely on making sure death is as quick and as painless as possible.
So there you have it. We've just walked through a pig's life, from beginning to end, all through the lens of this one foundational document from over 2 decades ago. It's incredibly detailed, it's comprehensive, and it's all rooted in those 5 freedoms. But that leaves us with one big question to chew on. This was the standard back in the year 2000. How have science, technology, and our own ideas about what it means to treat an animal well evolved since then?